how could society do better to embrace and celebrate neurodiversity rather than keeping it on the side or in the corner or ignoring it altogether?
Well, first thing they can do is not horrified in the media. Sometimes
Right.
with certain aspects in movies and television shows, they portray this as it's a disaster in our country. We need a vaccine for it.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Best You interview series. It's Gary here again. Thank you very much for taking the time to join me today. And today I'm delighted to be joined by autism advocate, podcaster, Davy Award-winner, TEDx speaker and entrepreneur Sam Mitchell, who is here to talk about his journey with autism and how that has inspired the work that he does today. Sam is on the autism spectrum and has a clear mission to show people that he is not broken, does not need to be fixed, there is no normal in this world, and that he is successful with autism. Sam wants to celebrate the successes of all people. He embraces who he is and feels as though everyone should be doing the exact same. How profound. Thank you very, very much for joining me today, Sam.
Hey, buddy. Good to be here. Thanks for having me, my friend.
I'm absolutely delighted. So let's start with your life journey thus far, Sam, and what it's been like living with autism, and more importantly, how that's inspired you to become an autism advocate.
Well, so I joined my high school's media club, and I fell in love with the podcasting. I knew I had to start my own podcast and finally take a stand after 15 years of exclusion, bullying, dealing with all the stereotypes you can imagine. But I figured this was a good opportunity to help, and I've always wanted to help the world, but unfortunately never really had the chance to.
Yeah, and so and you're in mainstream schooling, and that's where the bullying comes from other kids who don't understand your journey, don't understand the implications
Don't
of
understand how I socialize. They don't understand how I operate. They don't understand how I think because it is different, but it is who I am and deal with it.
Yeah. And so what type and style of things would you get? What sort of experience and behaviors would you see from other people?
I would get the big eye stare. I would get looks. I would get comments made at me. I would get called your dumb ASF for doing absolutely nothing. Is a great example. Got stabbed in
Yeah.
the back with pencils once for doing nothing.
Wow. It's so unfortunate. Kids can be so cruel at times, and most of it's through sheer ignorance or some sort of learned behaviour from the influencers around them as well. I'm really sorry that you had that type and style of experience. So you mentioned briefly there the podcast, and the podcast has had some very heavy hitting guests on it as well. What made you decide that the Autism Rocks and Rolls podcast was something that you wanted to do, and how has it evolved
The
over time?
media club I mentioned earlier. That was when I found out about the podcasting. That's when it just clicked. It made sense. Making the intros and outros made sense. Making the content made sense. The media realm made sense to me.
Yeah.
Now, I gotta be honest, I'm definitely using it for the good media, not the bad media trying to start controversy or talk about, let's just say, the political side of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And so what type and style of guests do you typically try and attract to your show?
I try and bring up people who have autism or autism advocates who've had experiences, or if they're really interested, I might bring them on. It's a disability podcast too, mental health podcast. So I bring on people with disabilities and mental health issues. I've also
Yeah.
brought on people with inspiring stories. Great example of that is one of my guests had a truck accident that basically paralyzed her from the waist down, and the doctors told her she wasn't going to barrel ride again. She basically said, "Screw you, doctors," and is now barrel racing today.
Wow. Wow, incredible. And in terms of what your journey on the podcast, Sam, what have you learned? How have you grown through the experiences of sharing experiences with your guests?
I think we try and make it relatable. I think everyone can relate to something, what they've been through. Maybe I can't relate to drinking a bunch of booze if it's alcoholism, but have
Yeah.
I seen it firsthand? Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I relate to having OCD? No, but I've experienced it firsthand. Well, not experienced it firsthand, but I've seen it firsthand.
Yeah. Yeah. So just that opportunity to be exposed to other people's types of styles of experience, make it relatable in your own way, and then give the opportunity for the watcher or the listener to be able to try and just take from it what they will.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. And in terms of some of the key guests that you've had on, in terms of the more internationally well known guests and such, how do you manage to source your guests to get them to come on and talk to you?
A lot of publicists, a lot of contacting through expos, via in person. I try to do more the direct way, is what I've
Yeah,
learned. The direct way is the best way.
yeah, yeah.
If
And
I
just
have
giving them,
Facebook Messenger or social media and it's them personally, that's what I want to do first. Then, if not, it's their publicist.
yeah, and just telling them your story, giving them an idea of what you're hoping to do, what you're hoping to
Yep.
achieve. I would imagine it would be quite difficult to turn down, like someone where you're saying, look, I'm trying to help the world get through either mental health support or autism activation or activities and such, do you want to come and help? It would be quite a cold-hearted person that would say, no, I don't think I want to help anyone with that.
Oh, I've had some people say sorry, not interested, but
Really.
the majority of them have been very polite, and the publicists have just said it's not that we don't want to, it's just swamped with other projects, which is fine.
Yeah.
But then there's
Yeah.
some that are, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. It's interesting from my side. I've had somewhat similar experiences in terms of the polite declines and such, and some people have just been absolutely blatant, saying, I will never do a podcast. I would absolutely suck at that. I don't want to embarrass myself or dilute the message or anything. And my message to them is, I'm contacting you because I know for a fact you'll be good at this. So I would be interested to find out why you think you wouldn't be good at this. It's never worked, not once, Sam. I've never had a guest say, "Oh, well, that's very kind of you. Thanks for your support and your encouragement." They've always just been. It's more about them than about the message or the ability to help. Have you found that?
Right.
Yeah, yeah. So mental health is another part of the pod, as you mentioned, and the work that you're doing. Was that the intent at the beginning, or is that just that there's that connectivity between autism and some of the work you're doing and help and advocacy for that?
Well, it was mainly advocating for autism, and that's still the main goal.
Yeah.
But I want to make it as inclusive as possible. I just don't want to hone in on autism because we all have struggles, and it's not fair just to count everyone else out.
Yeah. And when we chatted before, prior to recording, I was trying to educate myself in terms of what the experience is like for someone with autism, and there's a spectrum of autism, is what you taught me that particular day. What does your typical experience look like in difference to people who don't have autism?
Big eyes when they don't understand something socially. That's one experience for you. But what I was trying to get at with that when we were talking is it is a spectrum. Some maybe are on the low end and they have the mindset of 3 year olds. Maybe they can't go to the bathroom on their own. Maybe they
Right.
can't brush their teeth. Maybe realistically they're a toddler. And
Mm.
I hate to say this, but their IQ is probably the size of a pea brain, like a pea. And then there's some that are in the middle of the road where, okay, maybe they can go to the bathroom on their own and they can get a job, but can they live on their own? No.
Yeah.
Me, I'm on the high end of the totem pole, I guess what you call it. I don't like to use that word, but biologically, I am 23. But if you had to say what I am mentally as a year old, I would say I'm a 19 or 21-year old, just a little developmentally delayed.
Yeah.
And that's the
Yeah.
problem, though, with the autism spectrum is you didn't know what I was trying to teach you. Well, you did know after I explained it, but the problem is people think everyone with autism has a mindset of a 3-year-old. Nope, not true.
Yeah.
That
Yeah. And
is
it's
some. That is some. Believe me, I have friends like that, and I've met people like that. But I got some friends that are really good socially, and are they on the spectrum? Yeah.
mm, yeah, and in terms of where is society lacking? in terms of understanding, appreciating, navigating with? Is it education? Is it exposure? Is it experience on dealing with people that are on the spectrum?
Well, in America, in my opinion, we are aware of it, but we're still not accepting of it. One of the biggest misconceptions we run into, this is so stupid. The services stop at a certain age, or some of the services stop at a certain age. A lot of people
Right.
think, oh, they're 18, time to let go of the services. No, that needs to continue. We still need services.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just different ones, just different services.
Yeah. And there's a literal stopping, just basically literally based on age. You've reached, for example, 21, you no longer qualify for this benefit or this level of support, then you would have to try and source that or finance that on your own.
Yeah. Or you would switch, or you would maybe switch a source, or you would switch your resources. Maybe instead of an IEP, now you got a work accommodation plan.
Right. Right. Yeah, get it. And in terms of advocacy, you're part of a group of autism advocates. What is there a common goal from an advocacy perspective? Is there an organization out there that people could go to get more resources, to get more understanding, to know and understand how and where they can help?
We provide that through Autism Rocks and Rolls, and a lot of the resources are just people with excellent stories, excellent resources. I mean, we're in the works of educational modules right now. It's still in its infancy stage. It's still on the mend, but we're definitely going to do it. Just taking some time. Our first
Yeah,
one is autism in the workplace, because there's 85% of people with autism, including me, who don't have a full time job because a lot of the bosses don't want to hire us because they don't want to deal with us.
yeah,
And I think it's only fair in this world we get a fair shake at things.
yeah, absolutely, 100%. Yeah, of course, and it would be interesting to know their I was going to say fears. I'm making an assumption there's some sort of fear there, but what do they think is going to happen, or how do they think that's going to, you know, work in the workplace? How's that going to marry in with the other existing people that are there, client, customer interactions, and things like that?
Well, I'll tell you one fear. They're afraid they get a hole in their wall because of their anger issues. And I can see to some extent, yes, because I do have anger issues. I'm not going to lie. But you're not going to, with me at least, you're not going to go a hole in your wall.
Yeah,
Don't got to worry about that. Maybe with Timmy you do, but with Sam you're fine.
yeah. So I wonder if it's that fear of the unknown, to go back to that word fear again. They just don't know what they're going to be able to, or they're going to have to deal with. And they would rather just say, you know what, I'm going to leave that there. If I don't have to, I choose not to. And then kind of move on from there, which is so excluding.
I've had to
And
fill out a lot of resumes, and one of the things that they like to put on there is disability. Do you have one or not have one? I've always said yes because I'm going to be honest on a resume. I'm not going to BS. That's not right to do.
yeah,
If I had to predict, I've got so many declines because of that.
really.
It's not. It's not a true. I can't say it's a positive statement. I can just say it's a prediction.
So, in terms of your advocacy work and your podcast work, like what's the main message? I mentioned a wee bit in the bio, of course, about you're looking, just everyone deserves a fair shot and such like that. What would be the main message through all of the work that you're doing that you would want every single listener to know?
I like to say the main message is just give us a chance. We deserve a fair shake. We really do.
Hmm.
And autism is not this disaster on the planet. It can be a beautiful day with
Yeah.
creative thoughts. Who wants to pass that up? Why do you want to pass thinking outside the box?
Yeah, that's so profound, just in terms of thought patterns, and that's what I was going to ask you. Like, how could society do better to embrace and celebrate neurodiversity rather than keeping it on the side or in the corner, or ignoring it altogether?
Well, first thing they can do is not horrified in the media. Sometimes
Right.
with certain aspects in movies and television shows, they portray this as it's a disaster in our country. We need a vaccine for it.
Um,
You're hilarious because that's not the truth.
yeah, yeah. And what would be the inspiration behind that? Why would someone want to portray that in a movie or a TV show or anything like that? It seems like such odd behaviour.
Uneducation, uneducated, and money. They think, oh, if I portray this, it's going to be a bad view on this disability, but I'm going to get some cha-ching.
In terms of the overall advocacy, are there people in the media that are actively championing the advocacy for autism and neurodiversity awareness that
There are
you would look
a
up
lot
to?
of celebrities who have said good stuff about this. Some celebrities who said it needs to be cured, and I'm not going to say who because I don't want to ruin their reputation and get sued for slander. I would also say there are some out there who have been positive attributes. I mean, Temple Grandin, the biggest autism advocate out there, she said that the way I think is in pictures, and I wouldn't change it. Professional wrestler Mick Foley has a son with autism. He said before in his public speaking, his tours, I believe in celebrating our differences.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Different people's style, different. I mean, it's such a beautiful concept. Thinking in pictures, and using all of the resources that are available, all of the human resources that are available to you to have a complete picture and a complete access to every single type and style of thought process to give yourself better solutions, better opportunities to serve, different types of styles of communities and such like that going forward. It seems like such a no-brainer as we're talking about it here, Sam. And it's very, very interesting that there's still that massive stigma. It's almost like it would be a great conversation to have someone who does think it's something that needs to be cured, or some employer that has been proven to be biased against neurodiversity in candidates and such, to say, tell us why. Just tell us why, and we can maybe have a more educated conversation. But it doesn't sound like you get to have those conversations a lot if you're being honest on a resume and then you're not being considered for anything.
Right. I mean, why would I even apply for a job at this point?
Yeah, yeah. And it's all these like all these micro, what would you say, like micro motivators or demotivators, actually micro demotivators, where you eventually get to a point where you're saying there's no point in applying to these folks, they never reply. There's no point in asking these types of styles of people for help or support because they're just not interested. There's no point in engaging with this type of style of groups because they've been very blatant in the media and or wherever not to support what it is we're trying to do. And then all these little demotivators where eventually you get put off. Eventually, you maybe just start saying, "Wow, what's the point?" And if it wasn't for people like you and your advocacy colleagues and such, it would be quite easy just to kind of forget all about it, wouldn't it?
Uh huh.
And that's sad.
That
That's
really
that's
is.
yeah, that's a worry. It really absolutely is. So, how can I help you get the word out here, other than obviously being a guest on the show, Sam?
Well, obviously, people can check out the podcast on autismrocksandrolls.com. Not a hard person to find. It's on your favorite media platform. If you Google in your search engine optimization, something will pop up. And you might want to search Autism Rocks and Rolls. Don't search Sam Mitchell because you'll get a basketball player. Trust me, another
Okay.
help. But what else people can do is take time for us. You don't have to be our best friend, although we would appreciate it if you were. But
Yeah.
we deserve a chance at socializing. We deserve a chance at having friends. We deserve a chance at having a good life.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
no matter what it looks like, it may not be what you expected. I mean, my parents were expecting to frolic around the garden skip. Clearly, that didn't happen for a long while.
Being open, being more curious, being more receptive, being more generous with your time and attention.
Yeah, be more open to what your future might look like. It may not be what you expect, but if you
Yeah.
love your child, you'll adapt. it's not fair for the child to adapt.
Yeah. Oh, that's such a profound way to put it. I love that. I absolutely love that. So Sam, this is called the Best You podcast, and what I do is I take an opportunity to ask every guest what's one regular practice that Sam employs to give himself the best opportunity to be the best version of himself every day.
Promotion, because I don't know when to shut up some days, and some days I promote the crap out of my podcast. Today was a great day. I had not a whole lot of downloads, so I figured let's, instead of sitting here bored out of my mind, let's amplify that a little bit and start talking.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. And putting yourself out there. And the key thing is, Sam, that not everyone is doing that. You know, not everyone is actually putting in the hard yards and picking, you know, a path for themselves and really going after it with everything that they've got. So I absolutely commend you for really, really committing to this and doing the work that you are doing. So what I like to do is round off the podcast by asking, where can people find out more about Sam Mitchell, the man, and obviously you've given us the website for the podcast. Any other contact details that the listeners and viewers should know?
Maybe go to Autism Rocks and Rolls. You'll find all my contact information there. But it has all my press appearances, has all the podcasts I've been on. If it's not having a link, it just means the episode's not out yet. Hopefully we'll get there. It has all some resources too, very cool materials, people I've worked with. There's definitely some cool interactive elements too to the website.
Yeah.
And you can learn about what I do.
You're a good man. And thank you very much for all the work that you're doing. Thank you very much for coming on the show today and for giving me more of a snippet of information about what that looks like. And I'll certainly be doing more research going forward. And of course, if there's anything I can do to help you continue to spread the word, please don't hesitate to reach out, my friend.
I will, man. Thank you for having me on again. I had a blast. I know it's a little short, but as they say, short and sweet, right?
Indeed, absolutely. I appreciate your time, Sam. Thanks a million. Hello again. Thanks again for tuning in to this episode, and I do hope that you found it valuable and gained some insights. I do have an ask for you. If you enjoyed this podcast, I would absolutely love it if you would connect with me on my socials, and that's at LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. Just search for my name and do whatever it is you need to do there to follow me and stay updated with all the latest content, tips, and discussions. And for any more resources that you're looking for, feel free to visit my website, garygillen.com. And while you're there, you can book a free, no obligation 30-minute coaching call directly with me through the site. Whether you're looking to enhance your performance or tackle a new challenge, I'm absolutely here to help you succeed, and I would absolutely love to hear from you. Thanks very much again, and until next time, keep pushing towards your goals and getting better each and every day, my friend.